Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? Hey, Sans, how you doing? I see that you're already here. We're gonna be covering some. We're gonna be covering some news as usual, and then I managed to fix the Binding of Isaac stuff, so we'll be able to cover that in a bit. So that's all well and good. Can you hear me good? Just making sure that everybody can hear me. I can see that you responded, so I'm assuming you can hear me. Let me make sure that everywhere else is all good. Just making sure that everywhere else is all good. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. And the other one's right here, but I gotta change it here. Change it here. There we go. There we go. Okay. So everything should be good. Should be seen by everybody. This is great. So, but yeah, in general, everything is good. Everybody's good. Everybody can hear me. It's been a very, very eventful week. I didn't think it was gonna be, but there's been a couple of things going on right now regarding the industry. But we can just go ahead. I'm gonna start recordings for the YouTube video, but we can definitely move ahead and start talking about the news. So let me just hit record, and there we go. So hello everybody, welcome to the gaming marketplace, where you don't invest with your money but with your time. Right now the gaming industry is changing in a good or maybe bad way. It's for you to decide, but we're seeing a bunch of news related to buyouts, some layoffs happening in the industry, and we are seeing some good stuff happening with the indie industry. So who knows? Maybe this is all good, and then we might not see it. But overall, the industry overall is changing as a whole, and there's a lot of things happening, a lot of shifting a lot of shifting. Oh, that's my dog just came in. Wait, give me a second. ¿Qué pasó, bebé? Alright. I'll continue. I'm sorry about that. Now I'm concerned for the future of Plants vs. Zombies again. Yes, I understand that. We can talk about a little bit of that later. But let me continue. Let me start again. So yeah, so there's been a lot of changes in the gaming industry recently. There's some good ones, some bad ones. We're looking at some payouts. We're also looking at some layoffs in the industry, and we're also looking at some success stories from a bunch of indie games right now. So there's a lot of things changing. Is it for good or is it for bad? We don't know yet. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the news that happened this week in the gaming industry. So we're starting off with, let me just show it. Which one thing that I kind of teased already in the beginning, which is EA. So I'm pretty sure you've heard by now, but if you haven't heard, EA recently got bought out by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund. Now, this is a huge purchase that has been happening literally like, what, 2-3 days ago, where this news broke out. Well, the whole point is that they're gonna give EA a payout of $55 billion. That's one of the highest leverage payouts that we've seen, well, in history, not just in gaming, just in general, in all industries, right? So this is a huge deal. Now, why would you buy EA? I know that some of you out there are thinking, but EA only has this type of game or that type of game, or they haven't really done really good games recently, and that's all your opinion. But the reality is that if we look at the stats, we can see that EA is actually seeing, it's one of the most profitable companies in the gaming industry, right? It's placed as number 6 in all gaming industry. Now, I know that everybody has their reservations, thinking that EA can be good, can be bad. It all depends on what games you really like. Some people really love the Star Wars games that they've been coming out. Some people really love the Madden, FIFA, and all these type of sports games that they bring out every year. But there is always another end to this discussion, which is people who are complaining that EA does too many microtransactions, that EA just doesn't care about the consumer anymore. The EA just spits out, well, garbage and expects us to pay for it, right? And they do incomplete games and all this kinds of stuff, right? Regardless, they're still making a huge buck, right? They're making a lot of money. So that makes sense why they want to be acquired. In fact, EA up until this point was a publicly traded company, meaning that you could have invested yourself in the EA company, and looking at this the history, you would have actually made some profit out of it. So even if we have our complaints during the as gamers and as consumers of the gaming industry, it shows that they are paying out and they are being profitable. And as much as we hate about microtransactions, people still paying them. So they've grown a lot in just this year. And that's why I'm not surprised at all by that the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund has set their eyes on EA. Now, EA, although as good as they have been, there's one main reason why the Saudi Arabian Investment Fund has been trying to, purchase them and has been trying to acquire them. And that is the mobile industry. So the mobile industry, although non-existent in the United States, is very big in other parts of the world, especially in Middle Eastern cultures and in Asian culture. So like basically West Asian cultures have really taken into using mobile games, and that's basically their preferred method of gaming, or at least very popular over there. And they think that EA could earn more money in their mobile. So EA up until now, with every single facet that they've done, has earned roughly a revenue of $8 billion per year. And this $55 billion payout that they're receiving is roughly 7 times the profit and the revenue that comes in every single year. So this is a huge thing, right? And the problem is that although this is great, they're getting a lot of money out of this, the reality is that there is a catch, because not everything is good. There's always a reason. You can't just throw around $55 billion and not expect any drawbacks, right? So what is the drawback with EA's acquisition? Well, the drawback is that EA now will have a debt of $22 billion. So the way this works is, think of it as basically the mortgage of your house, right? So your house, you can buy it, and when you buy a house, that house costs something and you have to go to the bank and you get a loan, right? Well, in this case, the Saudi Arabian Interest Fund is the one that is getting that loan to pay out, right, your house, or in this case, the company EA. Now, just since it's such a good deal, they told EA, hey, we're going to give you those $55 billion, but 22 billion of those $55 billion is considered debt. It's considered a loan, okay, that you'll have to pay out. That way, it's less risky for us to have made this 22 billion, this $55 billion investment on you. So this compared with, for example, remember how I talked to you about how they want mobile to be their main focus and they want mobile to grow in the EA company? Well, that is because mobile games covers, that revenue from mobile games covers 15% of all of EA's yearly revenue, right? And as we can see here, just this year, it's gotten roughly $1.1 billion. Now, this is all sounding well and good, but you can kind of think $1.1 billion per year doesn't come close to the $22 billion debt that they're going to have to pay off. And I'm assuming there's going to be some interest in that debt, although we don't know what that number really is. But this is clearly not enough, right? They're not getting enough from mobile, but the Saudi Arabian company thinks that they'll be able to make a huge profit if they focus on that mobile industry, on the mobile space. This could work, but it could also not work. So here's the reason. You do have EA, as I mentioned previously, is a publicly backed company, right? Or used to be. Before it was bought out, it was publicly traded, meaning that we saw a lot of the bad practice that a lot of times we complain about in the industry, which is they're just trying to make games to give money to shareholders, and they don't really care about the passion of making video games. And the argument here is that with this $55 billion payout, they'll be able to go private because they've been, acquired by a private company. Since they're private, they don't have to care about shareholders, right? So they'll be able to actually work on games as they see fit without thinking too much about the profit or anything like that. And thus they can put more attention into what really matters, which is creating those games. Now, that's what they say, but in reality, this investment fund is no different than shareholders, right? These guys are investing a bunch of money on EA expecting a return. So they're going to make sure that they get that return. And we still have that looming $22 billion debt that they are going to have to pay. But how are they going to do it? Well, now EA is forced to take additional actions to try to be able to repay that $22 billion debt once they get acquired, which they'll do by, unfortunately, doing a bunch of layoffs on the industry. And this is a bigger trend that we've been seeing in general, especially with AAA companies in the industry, where there's been more and more and more layoffs as it's gone on. And this is all very much predictions, right? People are worried that this acquisition is going to cause layoffs because a lot of times when these type of acquisitions happens, a layoff does come after because it's an easy way for them to say, hey, we have this much less expenses, but we have the same revenue. So now that profit margin is way bigger and they can pay out their debt that much more easily. So there's another thing that since they want to focus on the mobile games, there's another issue that we will see, and that is the microtransactions. So how do mobile games make so much money? They make so much money by putting a bunch of microtransactions in their games. And it's very predatory in a lot of ways, a lot of those mobile games and how they deal with microtransactions. And so the easiest one is just putting a bunch of ads that you either pay to remove or it just enforces you to just look at ads all the time. And that's just more revenue for people in mobile, which is why a lot of people don't really like playing mobile games because it's heavily incentivized for you to put a bunch of ads on your game. And people don't want ads. when they're playing video games. So this is incentivizing, once again, EA to have even more microtransactions, which they've already been criticized before for having already too many microtransactions in their games. So unfortunately, I don't see that getting any better with this acquisition. And that leads us to another question. Are single player games dead with, at least in regards to EA? Because they want to focus on mobile and they want to focus on microtransactions and all these different ways to gain money. But the reality is single player games don't give you a long-term amount of money, right? You get a lot of money the moment it's released, but that's it, right? Unless you were to develop a bunch of DLCs, usually the only payment you get is the moment the game is released and the profit of selling all the copies of that game. But a lot of times you don't get as much money, even if they were to include microtransactions in these games. People who play single player games usually don't really buy microtransactions. The whole joy of microtransactions is to basically show it off to other people online. And if it's a single player game, there really isn't a reason for you to invest so much on DLCs or microtransactions. Thus, meaning that they don't get the profit that they would want. There's no increase in profit for those type of games. So will they die out? Will they use those teams to stop making single player games and just keep making games that they know they can monetize? I mean, everything is going to be okay with Apex Legends. Everything is going to be good with even the Madden games, right? The FIFA games. Those are all going to be good because they already have a bunch of microtransactions in there, which gives EA so much more leverage for how they want to address their clients and how they can get money from their clients, right? But just because this is the thing, if single player games are not dead and they still develop them, expect even more predatory microtransactions to be bogging down those single player games. Or those, if they do die and they start focusing on the games that are already giving them profit, expect even more microtransactions to be included and jammed into those games. Who knows? Maybe you'll have to pay just to enter the game every single session, or maybe pay to play online. Who knows? The point is that they'll be looking for whatever way they can cram in profit so that they can hopefully not lay off as many people as they'll probably will, and to hopefully be able to appease the new private entity that owns them. But that just shows that the industry, AAA industry, is struggling. And your EA is not the only one that's going to be struggling from layoffs and all these kinds of stuff going forward. Another company that's going to be struggling with layoffs, or has been struggling with layoffs, is Avalanche Studios. Avalanche Studios, the one that made Mad Max, Just Cause, and the Hunter games, they had to unfortunately do some additional layoffs just this month, with them laying off the Liverpool studios and laying off all the employees that worked in that studio. Why are they doing this? Why is it that they have to lay off so many people? Well, the reason is actually that Microsoft has kind of screwed them over. Granted, not, I guess, intentionally, but Microsoft themselves have also had to do a lot of layoffs and a lot of cuts in their funding and a lot of cuts in their budget. Meaning that one of the games that Avalanche was heavily working on got cut by Microsoft. That game being Contraband. Contraband got completely scrapped, even though they had announced it. It was all this heavy push from Microsoft for this game to be released, and it got put on pause for a good amount of time because once Microsoft was doing layoffs, they couldn't really pay developers to make this game. And not paying these developers meant that Avalanche suddenly had less money to work with their budget for them to work on different games. It's completely lost time and effort because now they're not getting money, an income stream that they were anticipating and expecting, thus making them have to cut their losses and, well, lay off some people. So they've definitely been struggling. But Microsoft ain't doing so well either. Once again, Microsoft is laying off people, and if they're not laying off people, they're gonna find a way to make their profits better. For example, by increasing the Xbox Game Pass pricing. The Xbox Game Pass has increased their prices by an astonishing 50%. It's a 50% increase from what we had before to what we have now. And sure, I understand if you would have to increase the prices of your product, but a 50% increase is a huge increase. It's very unlikely people are going to take that, easily. And in fact, people haven't been taking it easy. People have been complaining about how expensive the Game Pass will now become, some even saying that it's not even worth it anymore. Because if you were to buy a game, if you're not buying all the new games that are coming out, then you don't really need the Game Pass. A lot of indie games are a lot cheaper, and overall, it just doesn't seem to be getting a lot of value for a lot of people. And this added to the fact that people are already kind of financially strapped and trying to count their pennies to pay different things. It's not making it easy for you to just increase the prices. I mean, for God's sake, we're currently having a government shutdown as of yesterday, right? People don't have money in their pockets, so raising the prices of things is only making it harder. And the backlash was definitely felt. In fact, it was so bad that Xbox Game Pass subscription page went down because of the influx of people going in to cancel their subscription. So many people were canceling their subscription, their server went down. And this is definitely making people unhappy because some people feel like their money is now trapped with, or they're forced to pay something that they don't want to pay anymore. And unfortunately, once again, a lot of people just don't have the budget to keep paying the prices that they already have, let alone increases that we've been seeing. And it's bad when you have somebody like GameStop making themselves look like the heroes. Because GameStop has already posted a couple times saying, hey, if you don't like digital stuff and that you won't own, which is the Game Pass, you could always buy our physical games and we will actually, you'll actually own it and you can actually play it whenever you want because it's now yours. Physical media has been on the rise recently and they seem to know this is the case, so they're pushing for people to buy more physical media, in this case, physical game cartridges. Now, that being said, they even went out and posted saying that they will not be charging you the $30 that is the new Game Pass. Instead, they'll charge you the exact same price that they normally charge you for the Game Pass, and you'll be able to get the Ultimate Game Pass. Now, you might be wondering, how does that work? Well, because the Game Pass cards that they have are just tokens that immediately activate a Game Pass, not like some other cards where it's just the monetary amount that you can then use in your console to buy what you want to buy. In this case, when you scan the Game Pass, it actually gives you that Game Pass subscription immediately, right? So them charging you the exact same amount before is a very smart strategy, and they didn't even need to do anything about it. They're still getting the exact same amount of money that they expected, and maybe even more, because they might bring a couple of customers that normally don't buy the Ultimate Game Pass from GameStop and buy it directly through them instead of going digital and buying it directly through GameStop. So this clearly seems like it's all blowing in their faces, and Xbox is definitely just struggling right now. And do you think that this maneuver is gonna do any better? I mean, they increase their prices hoping to get more profit, but if everybody leaves, they ended up losing and earning less than if they just left it the same price, or maybe having just increased it by, I don't know, $2-3, that people would have been complained, but they would have at least not flocked to cancel the subscriptions as we've seen. And the thing is, with these cuts that we're seeing, a lot of people are feeling the effects, and major companies and AAA are not the only ones struggling, because one thing that happened is with Sirocco. Sirocco, if you don't know this game, I don't really blame you. So, because this game, I didn't even know of until I heard this news. Sirocco is a MOBA game that is based out of Warcraft. It was a Warcraft mod, and then they went out to develop their own game. And so it's a MOBA based on ships, on battleships. And the whole point is, just like any other MOBA game, you have defense, you have all these components, but instead of being fantasy characters, you're different ships that are, equipped with different things and fight each other. It's a very interesting concept, but it just didn't seem to have blown up. And I'm finding it very interesting because usually the MOBA community likes finding out new MOBA games. But I never even heard about this game, and I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't either. Maybe what they need is a little bit of marketing. But unfortunately, when they launch, even though they've spent 15 years working on the product, they had to recently shut down their servers, because although they had a peak of 882 players when they launched the early access, in the last few months, it was seeing barely 1 to 2 players. And servers aren't cheap. So they made the decision to shut down the servers so that way they didn't have to keep paying those costs. But not all hope is lost, because they did say in their Discord that they are very proud of the game, and they plan on continuing work with this game so that way they can hopefully add more features, making more enticing, and hopefully when they have more resources, they can boot up the server again and they can have a bigger player base. What they need is marketing. Hopefully they get a good amount of budget so that they can actually start marketing the game, because if people know about it, then you'll at least have maybe a small community that decides to play your games. MOBAs are very popular, but they are very competitive. So you got to make sure that you cut through the noise and that your game, however unique it is, can actually reach your target audience. So here's hoping that they manage to actually get their target audience, and hopefully it becomes a success story in the future. But only time will tell. Luckily enough, not all news is bad, because although some indie games might be struggling, others are thriving, as we've seen with the release of Hades 2. Hades 2 was in early access for this entire time, but the 1.0 release came out this week, and it's skyrocketed in players, it's skyrocketed in sales. In fact, just in Steam alone, it saw currently a increase of almost 100,000. What was it? Let me see if I can find it. So it saw an increase of almost 100,000 concurrent players, a peak of 100,000 concurrent players. And that's really good, especially considering that the game was in early access up until this point. So some people have already played the game, and now they get to play the full game. And this is just on Steam, by the way. This is not considering the fact that it's also available on the Nintendo Switch, it's also available on Xbox, and it's also available on PlayStation. So we're only seeing the numbers from Steam, and they already look really good. So I can't imagine how much they must be making right now and how much success they must feel, because they've also been getting a lot of traction in consoles, not just in PC gaming. And this just shows that indie games are currently doing really well. Maybe there's some that always kind of don't get the traction that they need, but overall, they're seeing way more success than a lot of AAA games nowadays, which is this shift in people no longer wanting to play those AAA games, and the AAA games are no longer the games that are highly, highly anticipated. Instead, the highly anticipated games are indie games. And what's even more impressive is that we've had a streak of really bad sequels in the last couple of years, but maybe sequels are good now? Because Hades 2 is a sequel, Silk Song is a sequel, and they both met expectations. They both did exactly what a sequel should do, which is they took the base game, took what was great about that game, added more into it without ruining the formula, and more importantly, they didn't just smack microtransactions just to try to get a cash grab from the IP. They actually made they loved their games and actually made a game that people want to play and that it met people's expectations of that previously played these games. So once again, another win for indie developers, which seem to be doing super well. So much so that right now, the top 3 rated games of the entire year are indie games. That being Hades, Expedition 33, and Blueprints, which maybe you haven't heard of, or maybe you have. There's a lot of people who loved watching different streamers play Blueprints, and I know that a lot of people, when it came in the Game Pass, because it was in the Game Pass included, really enjoyed playing it. So the top three are currently indie games, and we haven't seen that in the past. So this is a clear shift in the industry where people are clearly being more interested on what indie developers are doing and are being a little bit more skeptical on whether they should try out the AAA games that are coming out. We're getting to a point where just because you have a well-known IP does not mean that you'll be successful. But once again, we've seen a bunch of development and a bunch of releases of really good indie games. And just this month, we saw the release of Megabonk and a Clover Pit. Both of these games have been very successful, and it hasn't been that long since they released. And keep in mind, these are indie games developed by 1 or 2 developers. So if you take that into account, Megabonk has currently had 1 million sales, which with its current price of $10 per copy, that means that single developer has seen roughly $10 million before Steam got their cut. If we try to account for Steam's cut, which is I believe 40%, we're still seeing around $6 million for a single developer. That's gonna set you perfectly comfortable for the next game you want to develop. And Clover Pit has only been out for 4 days and has had 300,000 sales, which is really good for a game that's been developed by only 2 people. And those 2 people, they've acquired, according to their current for sale game, is currently roughly around $9. But once it leaves the sale, it'll be similar to Megabonk. It will be $10. Regardless, that has allowed them to see a good amount of money on their pockets that they can use to live comfortably and hopefully make other really good games. So what we're seeing is that indie games are profitable and AAA games are not. But why? Why is that happening? Why are we seeing this ginormous shift? Well, the reality is AAA games have grown too much for their own good. Maybe that's why we're seeing layoffs, right? We've seen now that good games can be created with less developer and with enough time. But developers on AAA companies have everything against them. They have the money, but they don't have the time. And a lot of times they overinflate their groups with a bunch of developers. So this is definitely a formula where now we're seeing companies not being able to withstand the scale in which they grew. And that's causing them to basically implode from the inside. And it's not because people aren't interested in their games. They might be skeptical, but we're still looking forward to a lot of games, AAA games that are going to be, developed in the future and that they've announced. We're very interested in those. But we won't spend our money that easily nowadays. So if we want, if AAA companies want to actually win the market, they're gonna have to make good games, not just profitable games. That's the difference between indie developers and AAA. AAA looks for profit. Indie developers, although yes, they want profit because we all need to live out of something, they look to make a good game for people to enjoy their game, the art of the craft, right? Meanwhile, the other ones are just there for making shareholders happy, which for them, more money means happier, bigger number means better person, and that means more microtransactions, which people don't like. So once again, this is just highlighting how the industry continues to change, and maybe it's for the better. Hopefully it is. I mean, I think that supporting individual creators and indie developers that are making these amazing and fun games is something we should be doing with all society, including like buying your local on your local store and down the street, right? Like supporting locals or supporting small companies is something that maybe we should encourage or just celebrate a little bit more nowadays. And you can still, buy and enjoy what AAA companies do, but just make sure that they have your interest at heart and not just there to get a quick buck. But that is all for this week's news on the gaming industry. What do you think about the news? Are you excited for some of these games that have been released recently? And are you sad to hear that the industry is having all these changes? Or maybe you don't care about indie games and you want AAA companies to do better. You want them to release those games. Maybe you're that type of person. But let me know in the comments down below. And tune in next week to D Gaming Marketplace on Twitch, YouTube, or on TikTok for us to cover the next week's news. I will be covering the news every single week. And if you want to check some news of your own, you can also go to thegamingmarketplace.com, where we have a tab there where it covers all the marketplace news that have been coming related to the gaming industry. That's also where I look a lot of the news articles that I then cover here in this video. So please go ahead and check it out. But until next time, remember, all right, we'll leave it there. I didn't know how to end it, so we'll just leave it there. So yeah. What do you guys think? I know that the comments were going a little bit crazy there. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, so that you're not getting another Dragon Age ever again. Microtransactions. We're talking about the EA, the price increases. Physical media W. We do love the fact that we're getting increase in physical media. That's actually a lot of fun. Hopefully that that's a whole industry that has been dying out. So maybe we bring it back up again. Actually being able to own your stuff instead of having to pay somebody else to rent your stuff. Are we gonna get another Steam situation where Steam servers crash? I don't think so. Why would we? I feel like they've even with the success of all these games, they've been slow increments, right? And Hades, even though it was very successful, Hades actually already had a lot of people who already owned the game, so it wasn't like a huge flock of people buying it all at the exact same time, right? There are people who already owned the game and they just had to boot it up. So yeah, so that's definitely like, I don't think that the servers are going to crash this time around. And I would hope that if that happened, that Steam also invested a little bit more on having some servers available, additional servers available, especially for those games that they know will sell well. So maybe that's why we didn't hear it this time around. AAAs do be shaking in their boots right now. Yeah, they really are. I mean, the economy is getting hard. It's not that easy to just make it's not that easy to just make any game and make it profitable. This is similar to, I don't know if you know the history behind video games as a whole, but do you know about Atari games? right? Video games for a second, they almost died out, and we might not have had all the video games that we see nowadays. The gaming industry almost died, and that was because of Atari games. So a lot of Atari games were being mass produced, and those Atari games were just, their cop out was the IP of movies and stuff like that to sell the games. But then people would get those games and realize that those games were really bad. They were just there as a cash grab for the IP, but they weren't really including anything new or any fun features in the game. And I feel like we're kind of reliving that right now, where we're currently in that point where games are, from AAA games at least, they're just becoming not fun, right? Because they're just full of microtransactions, and that's it. The gameplay is secondary. And when that happens, and you're just getting money because of the IP involved, not because of the actual gameplay, then you slowly start killing your own franchise. We've seen it with Saints Row. We've seen it with Battlefield, which they're hoping Battlefield 6 fixes the issue. We've seen it with Black Ops. We've seen it with Call of Duty. We've seen it with a bunch of games where they've just keep posting, making new games, not necessarily fun or good games, just new games that have the same IP. The only reason video games are alive was because the NES, of which sort of looks like the front of a loading VCR player. Yes, so the NES came out, and that's what saved video games, because actual fun games were being developed by Nintendo, right? They basically saved the industry. And right now, what I feel is happening is that the indie developers are the ones saving the industry right now, because AAA games are killing it with them trying to be profitable and just trying to use IPs to keep squeezing out money. Meanwhile, indie developers are making actual innovative games that are willing to take the risk of maybe making a game that might not be as profitable. And that has allowed them to actually, get a lot of profit. I mean, you see it right here. This is one person that gained, that up to this point has roughly $6 million on his bank now. He's $6 million richer right now. And then the other two that made Clover Pit, sure, that's going to be divided by two, but it's still growing. It's only been 4 days, and they keep getting sales. So who knows? They themselves will be the next millionaires, because they've made good games. And as long as they know how to keep their audience and keep people happy and engaged, they're gonna keep being successful. The moment they start looking at microtransactions and their integrity is being questioned, that's when you start losing more money than you're making. But I say all this, but we did see that EA, even though they've been disliked by a lot of the community, they still were making a huge profit. So people are buying. So there is always a market. So can we really say that the indie developers are the right way and the AAAs are the wrong way? Well, we can't really say that. I mean, in our perspective, as the consumer, as the customer, yes, we can definitely say we indie developers are better because they have my thoughts in mind, or me as a person in mind, and AAA companies don't. But AAA companies are also doing well because they're the ones actually making profit and guaranteeing profit year through year, right? So it's definitely depending on how you look at it, one side of the industry could be more successful or better than the other. It all depends on what you want. Let's hope that Bedinad doesn't have their payment process account with a processor account with a $6 million ban. Yeah, you're completely right. With their go. Also, did you know that Bedinad, the one who made a Megabunk, is actually there's a conspiracy, which I don't think it's a big conspiracy. I think it's a rumor, but it's pretty true if you ask me. Is actually Danny Dev, which is a famous solo developer on YouTube. Because if you didn't know, well, yeah, that Danny Dev is actually it's actually what people assume is the developer, and he's already a pretty well-known and good developer. And there's a lot of similarities from Danny Dev to Verinat. I already heard the theory. Yeah. So who knows? Maybe that's also the case. Or maybe they're just really inspired by Danny Day, which could also be the case. But yeah, but that's the news for this week. That's the news recap. That's everything that's happened just this week. And honestly, it's a pretty big, some pretty big changes going around. I really hope that the Sirocco MOBA gets another chance in the future. The concept seems interesting. Since I didn't hear about it, I bet a lot of people didn't hear about it. I think that's the only reason they didn't succeed. I think I don't know if I didn't check if their reviews were positive or negative. But if they were positive, then my guess is just that they weren't doing so well marketing wise. So yeah. So that concludes today's portion of news related topic. Let me know if you enjoy these news, what other type of news you would like me to cover. Maybe you don't want so much industry. You want more stuff like, oh, what games are coming out and all that kind of stuff, which we could also definitely cover. Or maybe you like this industry retrospective type of analysis of what's happening on the industry, and you want to see more of that. So do let me know what type of news you'd be interested in hearing regarding video games. But yeah, now with that portion done, we can now get ahead and take a look at the of some of the games and review them. We do have the game wheel, so I'll have to set that up real quick. So let me do that. The wheel of game stock. So let me just... Did you save my stuff? No, you did not. Is it not you? It's not. It's on Chrome, that's why. Meatloaf launches used to mean something. Shake my head. Yeah, I completely agree. I keep saying going digital was a mistake. I agree and disagree in the sense that it's innovation. Now you can just get a game. You don't need to leave your house, and there you have more access to a bunch more games that maybe you wouldn't have gotten if they were physical, right? When we're looking at physical games, there was the very big, people were more hesitant to buy games. People were more hesitant to buy games when they're physical because they would go to the store and they didn't really have much to go off by, right? Not in Steam, where you can literally see all the reviews right there and then, where you can literally check what the gameplay is like. Back then, you literally just had to look at a game, cover looks nice, back looks nice. Okay, I'll put 15 bucks into this game, 20 bucks into this game. And if you don't like it, you kind of lost most of that money because you wouldn't be able to really get a refund. You could try to sell it back to GameStop, but we all know how much they would pay you for that. They wouldn't pay you what it's worth. So the people were a little bit more hesitant because you were more likely to lose money because you didn't know if the game you were buying was actually going to be something you would enjoy. Now, we are on the internet, so we could still be physical, and then in any case, just search up, do that research yourself right there and then for every game. I just feel like it'd be very tedious to do that. You're in the game store and you're just looking, oh, that game seems interesting. Let's read. Okay, no, not for me. What about this game? And doing that, right? But if you know a game, you're going to enjoy a game, then I definitely think that getting in a physical medium is way better and way more bang for your buck than not getting it physical. Why the hell am I getting a CAPTCHA on TikTok? I swear to God. I got a CAPTCHA. on TikTok to show because of inactivity. I swear to God, the TikTok player is so weird. It's such a weird TikTok studio is so live studio is so weird. But yeah. Regardless, let me. That's what I was doing. I forgot what I was doing. Let me go to Chrome. The wheel. There we go. And so there's that. Let me make sure I get this. Let me open the code. Studio. Visual Studios, and then let me go ahead and just open. Where are you? YouTube. And where are you? There we go. So there's that. And then we can do some. Might open the other one for research later. But let's go ahead first. Oh no, I actually do have to open it here. SteamDB, the usual. SteamDB. Let's go with Steam Spy. Game time, player time, playtime, and Twitch tracker. Alright. So we have these, and although yes, I do plan on wait, wrong, yeah, oh, wrong one. Where am I doing? There we go. All right. So although yes, we should be spinning the wheel right now, and I owe you a game that we were supposed to cover last time, but I encountered some technical difficulties. So instead of doing the wheel, let's go ahead and look at Binding of Isaac. Binding of Isaac, which I already have here on screen for you guys. So let me just make sure you can see that properly. And let's make you a little bit larger so you guys can see that better. All right. So this is the Binding of Isaac. So we can see that when I started getting data from Binding of Isaac, we can see that on average, the Binding of Isaac was seeing a good score of roughly 80 to 70 gems per day. And we do see, though, that it was going down. Oops, my bad. We do see, though, that it was slowly going down. And then it had an average on the end of 2024. It had an average of around 50 gems per day. That did increase, however, sometime around the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, where it reached its highest peak we've recorded, which is 126 gems. And it maintained that that high value for a good amount of time until it started to slowly go back down again. And now it's seeing almost a flat line, seeing roughly 30 gems per day. Not seeing much increase. We do see a little bump here, but it seems like it's pretty consistently getting around 30 gems per day right now. Now, why do we see this increase over here? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. Let's find out. So if I were to look at words, Binding of Isaac. Let me make sure I'm showing it to you guys. So, properties. Make sure I'm showing it to you guys. There you go. Okay, so you should be able to see that without any issues. So with Binding of Isaac, we can see that it had seen roughly, what is TikTok doing right now? All right, I don't know what's going on with TikTok, but so if we take a look at SteamDB, we can kind of see that Binding of Isaac Rebirth. It's not even. There you go. Binding of Isaac Rebirth saw charts. Saw roughly. Oh, let's get it all the way from the beginning. 2024. So this is similar to the spike we saw over here. It's a similar spike to what we saw in the actual chart, right? It's a very similar spike here. And yeah, you can kind of see it side by side. It's very similar in performance. And another thing we could definitely check is, was it free that day? Is there a reason why Binding of Isaac was doing so well during that time? Yep, it's exactly that. It seems like it was on sale, 67% sale on winter. It was on the winter sale, so that's why it was seeing definitely seeing this growth that we then see during that time. There were just way more players during this time that allowed it to get that really high value that we see around the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. And then we can also see. So wait, you couldn't see the chart? Let me. I'm pretty sure you could. Let me just make sure you see it. So this is the chart, right? So we can check if there was any how do you say streaming being done during that time as well. No, not creators. There we go. Okay, there we go. So Binding of Isaac, we can also see that there was a good amount of increase sometime in, well, this is, where are we? Sometime here. This is the beginning of end of 2024 and beginning of 2025. We can also see some spikes here, which correlates to the spikes we were seeing. And I believe, although the value went down around this time in September and August, I believe this little spike here that we're seeing correlates to this peak here. And if we were to take a look, yeah, it's almost exactly the same day. So this spike here correlates to that little bump we're seeing in the graph. So let me just, I'm not showing you guys. So this little spike that you're seeing here, let me see how I can put this so that you guys can actually see it properly. All right, this little spike here, right? This little spike here correlates with this little bump we're seeing right here, where everything is kind of 30, but we see that little bump that correlates with this sudden increase in viewers. But there weren't that many. Where are the channels? Yeah, there weren't that many channels difference streaming at the time, and there probably wasn't that many people playing for long periods of time. So that's why it didn't really push the needle too far with the performance for the rest of this game. But overall, Binding of Isaac, it's a pretty old game, and it's one of the classics for roguelikes. People really like Binding of Isaac, and in fact, if you know the streamer Northern Lion, that streamer kind of made his popularity, got very popular because he was playing hardcore Binding of Isaac, and that's what he used to dedicate a lot of his time to. So he got a lot of his following from Binding of Isaac, and overall, it's just a dungeon crawler ish roguelike game that got a lot of attention and was very much loved by the community, especially within roguelike genre. So yeah, and that's Binding of Isaac. Overall, really good performance, and especially for a game that's been out for so long, really good. And it's a really good spike. The fact that it reached around 126 gems, that makes it roughly that puts it in line with the top of top performers for indie games as a whole. So yeah, really good for performance from Binding of Isaac. So unless somebody else has any suggestions regarding what game to cover, we can go ahead and go into the wheel of GameStop. So let's pull that up. Here is the wheel of GameStop. And we can see that if I were to spin it right now, we see... Oh, I have to take Binding of Isaac out. But we have Grounded. So I'll go ahead and check Grounded. But let me make sure I take Binding of Isaac out of this circle, this thing. And let's go ahead and take a look at Grounded. Grounded. Just give me a few. Grounded. Oh, right. I gotta do this. How do you... Right. How is it that it's being saved and written? Grounded. Oh, just like that. Perfect. So I'll just copy that. Plop, copy. Let's go ahead and pull up the chart here. Yeah, down here. There we go. And let's substitute this with Grounded. Grounded, and let's run this back, shall we? And there we go. We have the data. Now I just gotta show it on screen. Screen. There we go. And this is Grounded. So we have data for Grounded from August of 2024. When was Grounded released? Let me check. I can already close this PowerPoint. I'm already done with this segment of the show. Okay, so Grounded, where are you? Where are you, Grounded? Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at Grounded. I accidentally closed you. Grounded. And where's the game? There we are. So this is on Twitch. We want from 2024. And then we want here. Grounded 1, which Grounded 2 already came out. I wonder if I already have data. So I could check that. But here is Grounded 2. Gotta put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Okay, So this is the data for grounded, and we can see it's, well, let me make sure it's not, I'm not covering your screen real quick. Just do this and we'll do that. All right, so we can kind of see a very similar trend here in correlation with the spikes, high and lows, with the actual spikes, high and lows that we see on Steam. Very similar performance that we're seeing here. And if we take a look at here, we can also see this spike here that we have. This spike right here correlates to this spike here, right? So we're definitely seeing a good amount of correlation. We also have some correlation here, which are these little spikes that we're seeing over here. So overall, just it's seeing a good amount of player base, a good amount of play and streaming. I'm wondering why people are mostly playing Grounded 1. Has Grounded 2 not come out yet? Is it just in early access? I think it's in early access. Grounded 2. I believe Grounded 2 is currently early access and it's not actually no, it's out. It came out not too long ago. So yeah, so the game is out, but it doesn't seem to have been getting that much traction comparatively. Where's the information? Last recorded update, release date. It was sometime in July. Yeah, so it seems like Grounded 2 wasn't as popular. Grounded 2 wasn't as popular as Grounded 1. You can see this huge fall off in players compared to Grounded 1, which even to this day is still seeing a good amount of players. Now, this might just be because of content, right? Grounded 1 has been out for longer, and Grounded 2 being new, maybe doesn't have as much content as maybe Grounded 1. And that could be the reason why people haven't really been playing too much Grounded 1, too much Grounded 2, and decided to play more Grounded 1. Regardless, if we take a look at the actual gem performance, the gem score, we can see that Grounded had seen a peak of 32 gems sometime in the beginning of, sometime in August of 2024. It then went down pretty drastically, and then it saw an average roughly around 3.5 gems per day, seeing some spikes here and there. Then it got another spike roughly around the start of this year, which is January of 2025, where it saw roughly a score of 23 gems, which it then once again started losing slowly. This could be because streamers started playing it, or because as content for Grounded 2 came out, people decided to play Grounded 1 and all that kind of stuff, because this is way before Grounded 2 was released, right? So then we see a couple of spikes pretty much in anticipation for Grounded 2, until we eventually see the release of Grounded 2. This is right before Grounded 2 is released. We saw a huge spike on July, which basically it reached a 22 gem score, a score of 22 gems on July, right before Grounded 2 came out, basically anticipating that release. And then we see that we can kind of see how people kind of flocked back to Grounded 1 instead of playing Grounded 2, and have been steadily playing Grounded 1 instead, seeing roughly an average of 6 gems right now. Yeah, roughly 5.5 to 6 gems per day in the last couple of weeks. So overall, not a bad performance for a survival game. It's one of those yeah, it's just what's the genre? It's survival genre. Survival. It's not survival horror. It's just the survival, like Ark, Survivor Evolved, and all this kind of things. the I think it's just the survival genre. So for the survival genre, the biggest giants are basically um, Ark Evolved, and Rust, and games like that. DayZ, I believe, is also a survival. So games like that are usually the ones in the top. And it seems like Grounded does have a good niche community that really loves playing it. So it's seeing currently a score of 6 gems, but it's seeing a spike of 30 gems is really good for it. And this is well beyond, way beyond when the game was originally released. So it definitely seems like it's kind of captured that small community. When people play survival games, they like one and they really latch on to that. So it seems like it successfully managed to cater that community and create that community around this game. So overall, really good performance for Grounded 1. So yeah. So that is Grounded 1. Actually, you know what? An idea I was thinking, and you guys can tell me if you think it would be a good idea. I was planning on maybe going and playing different what is it? I was planning on going and checking what were the worst performing games in the checking the worst performing games in the gaming marketplace, and with that, playing those games and just see how bad or maybe how good and maybe a hidden gem amongst them are when you have a game that's like in the bottom of the barrel and like really bad performance. So that'd be very interesting. Or we could even check games that have the largest drop off, and kind of analyze why different games had that drop off, and play them and see and criticize and review and all that kind of stuff. What we play. So let me know if that's an interesting idea. Because we can definitely do that across a couple streams. And you know, instead of we're gonna do something different, because as you can see here, the let me open it up. Give me a sec. Kind of have to like share screen real quick. And let me change it. I gotta add it to here. So let me just do this one. In research, no, I'm gonna need you. Okay, so let's just change the wheel. No, let's add another one. We're gonna change display capture, and we're gonna put Steam. Like negative gems bad, or like very very low gems bad. So like that's a good question. I think that if I go negative gems bad, we could find some games, but I am scared that I'd be running into the risk of getting games that are so like are basically AI generated games. You know that there's a lot of games like that right now that are just being developed by people, AI generated games, and that's it. It would still be interesting to kind of look at those. But I feel like if I go to those negative values, it might be games that I have to pay, and they can be very expensive for a really bad game that they just did it for a quick cash grab. So I wouldn't want that. And I did the wrong one. Yes. And then add. And what I want is not a display capture, it's a window capture. And let's add a new one. This is Steam. There we go. Steam, and let's do you. No, wrong one. Let's do wrong one. I'm just looking at my own screen. Where are you? There you are. Okay. So yeah, that's I think I would have to do the research and see what games are being shown on. Like I'll make a list, and we'll have to kind of check what games are appearing. But my prediction would be that it would probably be games that are roughly what do you say games that are roughly 0 point something and not games that are fully in the negative, right? But who knows? Well, I'll do a little, like, I'll scrunch around and see what those games, how those games are, and see which ones would be interesting for us, would be a better result, and then we can hopefully kind of like scrunch around and see if we find some hidden gems around there, from those indie games, and stuff like that. And we can play it, or we can just be, kind of laugh and have a good time about how bad these games are. So this is what I was thinking of. So as you may already know, the Steam autumn sale has just started. I believe it started today. If not today, it started yesterday. But it just started. So I was thinking, why not look at some of these games and see which, according to the gaming marketplace, which are the best games for you to invest on and buy in the Steam sale. There's a bunch of games, so we'll just take a look briefly on some of them. We might not analyze them too heavily, but I thought that it would be interesting just to see, according to these, the games that are in sale, what are the top performing games that maybe you should, if you're gonna do a, if you're gonna buy one of these games, which game should you buy, right? We can definitely go ahead and I can look it up with you guys here, and then maybe if it's interesting or there's just too many games, and we want to kind of go more in detail, I can definitely make like a little short or a video, kind of going more in detail or more thorough search through the games, and just showing you, once I've done the research, just showing you all the top games to invest your money on, through the autumn sale, which is here up until when? Now through October 6th. Oh, it's not even that long. It's just a week. We'll see. I might make like a little short video about it. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Regardless, let's take a look at some of these games. So which game catches your eye, right? Let's try to make it so that we can just kind of look at the games that are on sale right now, right? Look at the games that are on sale right now. And having these games on sale, let me just boot up where are you? This. So this is a mock-up, a local mock-up of the website. So with this, I can I'll be able to kind of look at the results that the website would give me. But in this case, it would include the entire data instead of like the one that you have on the website itself, which is just the website itself. It's just the 3 months because of what we've spoken about before. So you said Fallout 76, so let's check. Fallout 76. So Fallout 76, how much is it right now? I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know you had to pay to play Fallout 76. I thought Fallout 76 being a basically MMO, I thought it was gonna be free and you could buy like a subscription like most MMOs do. But I didn't know you had to pay for it. So right now it's Fallout 76 is 75% off. So it's $10 if you want to acquire it. And if we look at its performance, we can see that. Oh, give me a sec. If we look at its performance, I'm looking at the wrong tab. There we go. We can see that Fallout 76 currently has a rating of basically 20 gems. That's really good. And if we go to the actual website, so let me go to thegamingmarketplace.com. Gaming marketplace.com. If we go to the actual website, games, and we search it up, we should be able to see its actual standing. Just give it a bit. It's a lot of data. Fallout 76. So right now it's in 102nd place. That's currently, according to its performance, it's the 102nd place. and it's seeing roughly 19.70 gems, and it went up recently. It seems compared to yesterday, it went up by 6%, which you can see kind of here. But if we look at the last 3 months of this game, we can see that, you know what, this is good. We can just use the website. I don't have to use the other version. We can use the other version if there's a game that's not in the top 1,000. But in this case, I'm assuming most of these games are going to be in the top 1,000, so we should be fine. But yeah, we can see that on average, Fallout 76 sees roughly 20 gems right now, but it saw a peak in the last 3 months of 36 gems. Overall, keeping a pretty consistent performance all throughout the year, and pretty decent amount of people playing it. And who knows, this increase that we're seeing right here of 6%, it might have increased because of the summer sale. So maybe some people have bought it and decided to play it recently. So that's something else we're looking at right now, is which one have actually benefited from the autumn sale, right? Which one of these games that are currently on sale have actually seen some growth thanks to the autumn sale. So very interesting with Fallout 76. But let's take a look at the game that's in the actual front page, because those are the games that I'm assuming more likely people would just buy and get, right? So we've already seen Call of Duty, and I've covered Call of Duty in previous I've covered the history of Call of Duty Modern Warfare and its performance in previous videos. You can check it out in the YouTube channel. But if we were to look at Modern Warfare right now, which should be this one, it's currently at 135 gems. It hasn't seen a huge increase, so the autumn sale hasn't really increased its performance by much, but it is currently standing at 14%. Yeah, 14%. So it's overall seeing really good numbers, which it's to be expected for Call of Duty, right? So let's see, Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is not in the top 10, but let's see how it's doing. So Cyberpunk has seen an increase of 0.40 something gems. Not a huge increase, so not many people have bought the game recently, thanks to the autumn sale. But overall, it's seeing a score right now of 48.33 gems. Also really good, and a 45th place. As of right now, Call of Duty seems to be the best performing game so far. So let's go ahead and look for, do I have Forza Horizon 5? Yes, I do. So Forza Horizon 5, which is currently on sale 50% off, has seen a little bit of an increase. It's seen a 1.87% increase recently, but not a huge one. And its current value is 21 gems, ranking it at 99th place. Which, racing game is a pretty it's a racing games are not a huge niche, even though a lot of people do play it and do enjoy it. It's not a huge niche compared to some of the other games, so I'm not surprised that its score is not that high. But let's see what other games. RuneScape. I believe I have RuneScape. Let's see. Dragon Wilds. This is the one. So RuneScape Dragon Wilds, even though it's on sale, it has seen a little bit of an increase, but RuneScape hasn't seen that high of a score. It's an indie game, and it has roughly 1.76 gem score right now. This is my guess is that this is because most people play RuneScape Classic instead of RuneScape Dragon Wilds, which we can check real quick. RuneScape Classic, see? So the classic, the old school RuneScape is seeing around 34.36 gems, really good. And it has seen an increase recently where it raised 65%. That's really good. And making it right now ranking at 65th place. I believe that's how you say it. 65th place. So really good for old school RuneScape here. What about normal RuneScape then? If that's old school RuneScape, and we saw that RuneScape Dragon Wilds is not doing that well, how much is normal RuneScape doing? Well, normal RuneScape is doing better than Dragon Wilds, as it's seeing, although it has seen a decrease in players recently, not by huge amount. It seems like on average it's keeping a score of 5 gems per day, which lands it at 296th place. Pretty low, but we can obviously see that as far as RuneScape goes, the clear winner is old school RuneScape. Sons of the Forest. That's actually Oblivion. Elder Scroll Oblivion. The new one that came out. I'm running it wrong. Oblivion. Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered. So Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remastered, currently on sale, has seen an increase of around 5% recently, and its current gem score is at 30 gems. Also really good, and seeing it's currently at 75th place. So in the top 100s, it's always great to be in the top 100s when you're looking at these games. So it's that 5% increase could very well be because it's on sale now. And some people, they love Elder Scrolls, and maybe they didn't buy it, and now that it's on sale, they decide to buy it. So lastly, let's look at, well, not lastly, but let's also look at Sons of the Forest. So Sons of the Forest is currently on 182nd place, and it's seeing roughly 10 gems per day, and it did see an increase recently, probably because of people buying it. It's a good sale, usually 30 bucks, and it's now 10 bucks, and it's had an increase of around 3%. Not a huge increase, but hey, an increase is an increase. That's always really good. Still not making it to the top 100s. Current winner still is Call of Duty. Apparently, that's still the best bang for your buck right now, according to its performance and all that. Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima. There we go. Let's see how this one did. I keep typing the wrong thing. There we go. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Let's see here. So it has seen a small increase, not substantial enough to say that the sales have really brought attention to it, but it's currently at 331st place, and it's seeing a gem score of 4.14 gems. So not bad, not great. Unfortunately, but the new one came out, if I'm not mistaken, or is about to come out. The Ghost of Yuta, something around those lines. So I wouldn't be surprised if people either play this game in anticipation for it, or people have already played this game recently and have just decided to go and play the new one. Is it out already? Ghost of Yuta? Yes, not out, or it is out and I haven't seen data. So let's go ahead and look at Dune. See you, Sans. Thank you for tuning in. Always grateful. Sleep well and good luck at school tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow's Friday. So good luck at school tomorrow. All right, so let's take a look at Dune. We don't have Dune in this data set. Hopefully tomorrow I can timestamp the streams. Yeah. Once again, I don't rush. You're doing it on your free time. There's no problem, but I'm very grateful that you do. So, by all means, rest easy. Have a good one. Let's see here. Hogwarts. Let's see if we have Hogwarts. We do have Hogwarts Legacy. Is it worth you playing Hogwarts Legacy? Well, Hogwarts Legacy is currently at 147th place, and it's seeing roughly 12.7 gems. Really good. It seems like it had an increase of 3%. Not that much. There's some people who really like Hogwarts, but I don't know if it going on sale. Some people were like, maybe some people did buy it because it was on sale, but I don't know. I heard some people really loved it. Some people really didn't like it. So definitely interesting. It's on sale now, so if you are a big Harry Potter fan and somehow you didn't buy it before, you can buy it now. Schedule 1. That's bound to ruffle some feathers. Let me see. Schedule 1. Schedule 1 is currently in 46th place, doing really well with an indie game with a score of 46.56 gems. That's really good. Even though it's only seen an increase of around 50%, it's still really nice to see that this indie game is still very popular and still receiving almost 50 gems per day on average. This is really good. I haven't played it, but I would definitely love to. I might take advantage of that sale. It's currently in 30% off, so best time to buy it, there isn't. Right now would be the best time to buy it. Or maybe they put it on sale again, and maybe there is a better time. But regardless, really good game. Overall, really good game. Let's see that Titanfall. Not Titanfall. Titan Quest. Do I have it? Anniversary Edition is the only one I have. I don't have two. Is it all together? Titan Quest. Seems like I only have the Anniversary Edition. That's one. And this one is not on sale. So we're not. Look at that. And Grand Theft Auto, GTA. Well, we don't even have to go too far for it because GTA is right here. GTA is on sale right now, and it has seen a huge increase. Wow. So the sales have done its effect because GTA has seen an increase of 120%. Seems like a good amount of people saw it on sale, 50% off, and decided to buy it and have been playing it. And now it's reached a score of 477 gems, keeping it at the third highest performing game in the marketplace right now. This is a clear winner. If you want to play GTA and you don't have it yet, you should definitely jump right now. It's 50% off. There's no better deal than this one to play it. And it's a lot of other people have already jumped on this bandwagon and start playing this game. So you should definitely do the same. Spider-Man. Give me pictures of Spider-Man. So Spider-Man 2 is also on sale, but it's only a 20% sale. Hasn't really seen that much of an increase, and it only has a score of 3 gems. This is also to be expected. A lot of people play Spider-Man, especially Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation. But regardless, it's nice to see it here. If you're not a PlayStation player, like you don't have PlayStation, would be a good game to pick up. But it's currently at 416th place right now, and the highest peak that we saw for Spider-Man was around 4 gems. So overall on PC, it doesn't seem to be doing super well, which might be why it's on sale. But on PlayStation, a lot of people used to play it, and a lot of people love Spider-Man 2. So definitely consider picking it up, although 20% is not that big of a sale. So maybe you can wait for the next time. Hopefully it's a bigger sale. Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let's see if I have this one. Damn, I have to write the whole thing. Assassin's Creed Shadows. I do not have Shadows, so we will not cover it right now. Shadows, which is 40% off, so if you want that game, you should definitely take it. And God of War. I remember we covered God of War not too long ago, but God of War Ragnarok currently standing at 3.55 gems. It doesn't seem like the sale of 20% off has really been moving the needle much. It doesn't seem like it has made people buy it. It's, wow, great number. 365. It's currently at 365 days over one. So really good. Still top 300, top 500 game. It's just that a lot of people have played it once. Similar to Spider-Man 2, a lot of people played this game in PlayStation, not in Steam or PC. So, but if you haven't played it before, it's just 20% off. Maybe it'll be in a higher percentage sale in the future, but that's currently what it is right now. Red Dead Redemption 2. We also covered this one not too long ago. Red Dead Redemption 2. And Red Dead Redemption 2 has not really seen any change recently due to the sale, but, well, let me check. Yeah, hasn't really seen any change according to the sale, but still is in 35th place. People really do love playing this game. It's really good and has a scale. It has current gem score of 60 gems. Really good game. I played it. I really loved it. I know a lot of people do go play the online version of that game and like role playing. So if you like cowboys and you like that stuff, you should definitely pick up Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a lot of fun. It's currently 75% off. So a better time than now to get it, there isn't, right? 75% off is really good. You're getting a masterpiece of a game for only 15 bucks. So if you haven't gotten it, I highly suggest you get it now. Baldur's Gate 3, I'm actually surprised that it's on a sale right now, considering how well it did. But Baldur's Gate 3 is currently on 15th place in the gaming marketplace, and it's currently on sale for 25%. And it's seen a score, although it doesn't seem like the sale has really increased its score recently, and not many people have been engaging with it too much. It has, however, increased a lot in gem rating. It currently has a gem score of 113 gems. Really good score. People love Baldur's Gate 3. I love Baldur's Gate 3, even though I never really finished it. Not even. I only finished Act 1. But I really loved Baldur's Gate 3. My friend has played it and finished it a billion times. Really fun game. Has a lot of possibilities. Definitely suggest you to get this game if you like the fantasy and like D&D type of genre. Really good. Ready or Not. Let's go ahead and check Ready or Not. Ready or Not is currently 83rd place, and it's seeing roughly a gem score of, it seems like it's roughly a gem score of 10 gems. It has seen a little bit of an increase from this 50% off. It seems like they've increased by 5% thanks to the sale, which is really nice. Not as much as GTA though, but still really nice. I know a couple people who have Ready or Not and love playing it. So if you want to play if you want to play multiplayer with your friends, I highly suggest you check out Ready or Not. It's a very fun game, and if you like that type of like tactical shooter and like military SWAT type of like simulation game, Ready or Not is the game for you. Let's see here. Doom: The Dark Ages. We already know how this one did. At least it didn't do that well on PC. Or just in general, it didn't really do that much in sales. It was basically considered a flop. But not really. It just, not as successful as Eternal, for example. But regardless, it has seen an increase. It seems like the sales did. It's a 33% off, so it seems like some people, now that it's on sale, have decided to give the game a try. And it has a current score of 7.58 gems, and that places it right now at a position of 213th place. Doom: The Dark Ages, not a bad game by any means, but there are a bunch of critiques by people. But if you're interested in the Doom franchise, definitely a game that you should pick up. It's a lot of fun for those that love that genre. And it's currently 33% off. So if you were kind of iffy on jumping in, it's there. It can show how bad maybe the sales were, because this game came out this year. So for a game that came out this year, seeing 33% off, it kind of shows you how much it struggled when since it had released. So definitely keep that in mind. Or Rematch. Do I have Rematch? I do not have Rematch. I should get Rematch. I love Rematch. I love the concept of Rematch, but it's 20% off. It's not that huge of a sale. But it's not a bad sale at all. I wish that EA is screwed now with the acquisition, so I doubt that they do it. But I would love to see people get a EA Sports Manager or whatever type game that plays similar to Rematch. I think that would be an actual good game for them, and being able to play as actual players and playing them in this game, I think would be very interesting. So definitely hope that wishing here for success, but I don't expect too much. EA has not had a good track record recently. And I believe this is the last. Yep, this is the last one. We're gonna check from the top screen main shadow, the one that Steam are trying to push you to make you feel. So these are the games that they put in front stage for you, because these are the games that they're trying to say, hey, look, we have these games on sale. We want you to push, like, see how good these sales are. Look at these games, right? So those are the ones to get your attention, so that then you can go and look at other games that they have on sale. And the last one is Stellar Blade, which I do not have. Oh, I put I have Stellaris. I do not have Stellar Blade, unfortunately. But we'll leave it at there. Let's see. You know, I see here Victoria 3. It's 70% off right now on the autumn sale. Wait, 70% off? Yeah, 70% off. Victoria is another grand strategy game made by Paradox. If you don't know, Paradox made Stellaris. It's a really good company, really good at making grand strategy games. A good amount of people love Victoria. It's currently on sale, and I do remember that somebody did ask for that game to be reviewed. So let's check if I have it, and if I do, which I do, let's go ahead and take a look at the data for Victoria. So let me just pull that up real quick. Victoria, where are you? There you are. Victoria. And now let's see here. Okay, so we don't have too much data from Victoria, so we'll just show it here. I could check if I have more data. I might have more data. We can take a look at it some other time. It's in the wheel, so we'll definitely come back to it later. But yeah, this is I would love to play Victoria. I think me and my friends would love this game. And it's currently 15 bucks. It's still expensive, but for me right now, for my budget. But 70% off is a really good deal. It's a really good deal. It's a good deal. A damn good deal. Metaphor with Fantasio. Ooh, 45% off. Really good. Really good. Just general. Oh, dude, Golf with Friends. I wish it was on sale when I got it. God dang it. Nothing else that really is jumping at me. I mean, I have a couple of, ooh, this one, Lockdown Protocol. That one's also a very interesting one to get. And Tabletop Simulator, I've always wanted to get Tabletop Simulator. There's so many possibilities of things you can play with Tabletop Simulator. I wonder, Tabletop Simulator, how is it doing? Well, Tabletop Simulator is 178th place, and it's currently has a gem value of 10 gems. And although it's on sale, it's 50% off, but it's not an expensive game. It's 20 bucks, and it's right now in 10 bucks. If you want a tabletop game, I would highly consider getting a Tabletop Simulator. I really love it. I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of people use it. It's a super good concept, really interesting game. So yeah, I'm not gonna go too much. This is just the autumn sale. If you have money and you have the time, now is the time. During these type of sales that Steam does, now is the time to buy games. Now is the time. If you're a VTuber or you're a content creator and you do content that you want to play with friends, different like multiplayer games that you want to play with friends, check the autumn sale. You might find something that you might find interesting, and that might be able to allow you to play with your friends and have a lot of fun. So highly recommend you go through the autumn sale, see what from your wish list is currently on sale, and if you have the money and you have the time, get it now. Right? We love these sales. This is one of the best parts of being of Steam as a service. So fully take advantage of it. All right. But with that said, that concludes today's update of the gaming marketplace. I thank you so much for tuning in. and I hope to see you next week. I've given you the entire news for this week. We looked at some games. We analyzed the Atom sale, and we also analyzed some games and saw their performances. So overall, really nice, and I hope that you guys enjoy tuning every week, because I log in every week so I can give you guys the news outlet, the news of the week related to the gaming industry. So do tune in for that if you want to keep track of everything that's happening with the game industry, and if there's any news type of thing. And also, if there's any specific type of news that you would like me to cover, let's say you want a segment that's only about games that have been released, or you want a segment about improvements in the game industry regarding maybe improvements with the the AAA games, or improvements that indie developers are doing, or maybe improvements or innovations that we've seen from indie games or multiplayer games and all that kind of stuff, then by all means let me know. I want to provide value to you guys, so I want to provide any type of performance, any type of information that you guys would find interesting. So please let me know what you'd like to hear next. But that is the update for this week, and I will have to catch you in the next one. So thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, this is the gaming marketplace where you don't invest your money, with your time. Catch you in the next one. If you want to see more content like this, go to the gamingmarketplace.com. See you there.